We're here, we're live. It's something we've never done before as the Hearthstone team, which is a live Q&A. More frequent communication. It'll be focused on what is our philosophies, what do we feel about things, do we think that's a good idea or a bad idea, and kind of gut checking those things with the community to find out how do you guys feel about our priorities. And I'm the game director, Dean is a game designer on the final design team. So to kick things off, I wanted to talk about two topics that have been, I think, big in the community recently. The first is the new player experience, and the second is the ranked play ladder. The minority of new players go to ranked, and it's those players that are having the toughest time. The ranked matchmaking experience isn't what I think we would say is the ideal experience for a brand new player. We've had great success in the casual matchmaker, increasing the new player win rate over time. It's gone up about 15% over the last year or 2 years. And there are many places for improvement, but our biggest area for improvement is that ranked initial experience. Some things I think are not working well, the feeling of grindiness and the new player issue that I mentioned as well. I should say there's kind of two phases, I think, to approach the ladder. Number one is, can we make it better using the same system? And then as a second phase, I think it's totally worthwhile to look at the entire system and think, are there more dramatic things that we can be doing? So as far as the first phase, how do we make it better? Increasing the number of bonus stars, not reset players as far. We can make seasons longer, but I think that the unit of time of a month is a memorable unit. So if we miss the drop down smaller, then maybe a month-long reset doesn't feel as bad. The thing we're looking at is what the effects of breakpoints in the ladder are. If you hit rank 15, 10, 5, you cannot go below those ranks. We are looking at the win streak, kind of make win streaks go the whole path. We need to figure out what that does to the inflation of the legend rank, but I think it makes that experience of grindiness a little bit lower in the ranks 5 to legend. Those are some of the opportunities that I think we have to explore. We are doing modeling, and then we also have plans going, like I said, to think about phase 2 and what that would look like. Okay, here's our first question. A while ago, you mentioned working on Arena to make it more balanced and a more enjoyable experience. Can you tell us a bit more about your current progress and plans today?
We're doing a lot of different things with Arena right now. We're thinking about making Arena standard or decreasing the amount of commons that you get, just balancing out the amount of commons and rares and epics that starting in early February, we're going to release the top 100 rankings for Arena over a minimum amount of 30 runs, the highest wins on average per run. I think we're also going to decrease the amount of the neutral, classic, and basic cards. So we're going to try to increase the amount of cards that are swinging the game back and forth, less cards, like River Crocolisk that you're just playing turn by turn.
Some of them are actually implemented, and we are trying to find the right patch to get that
yes,
right.
We're really looking for feedback on what you guys think should change or should not change.
If you decided to go the route of moving classic basic cards to Wild, would you ever consider moving cards like Blade Flurry and Molten Giant to Wild and undoing the nerf? Those cards being nerfed meant that you couldn't play the decks that those cards were enabling in any format, Wild or Standard. Do we need to look at some cards to make sure that the meta feels fresh at our next standard rotation when the next set comes out? And two, if we're not feeling good about that, what's the right way to handle it? Do we do things the way we did last time and nerf some cards? Or should we consider taking the cards as they are and putting them into the Wild format exclusively, like we did with old Murk-Eye? I guess I'm not sure. And I think actually nerfs that worked out pretty well for us for things like Tuskar Totemic. Are you happy with how the meta has panned out post Mean Streets? We have 3 Patches decks on top, and then Kazakus decks close behind with no Paladin and Hunter.
If something is very, very high population, that's okay as long as it's for a short amount of time. Now we're sort of reaching a point where at least the decks with the Pirate package, like the Warrior and the Shamans and the Rogues, those numbers are sort of stabilizing. They're stabilizing at a population that's a little bit higher than we're comfortable with. So I think that if it continues to be that way, I would expect us to do something about that. So I would say we're not as happy as we could be with the population of the decks with the Pirate package. So we're looking at that very, very closely. In terms of Paladin and Hunter decks, I think that Paladin and Hunter specifically have been seeing a low amount of play, but the future for them I think is pretty bright as long as the meta slows down a little bit, and a lot of that is to do with the Pirate package, and if the Pirate package continues to stay the way it is in terms of population, I think that we would step in and do something about it. But in general, I've been pretty happy. The top deck and the 11th best deck, I think that there was a like 52% to 49% win rate. So I think just in terms of balance specifically, I think that we're doing very, very well. But in terms of a lot of the decks feeling the same, I think that we could do a little bit better.
With the second standard rotation coming up, has your stance on functionally reprinting cards changed at all? It hasn't been quite enough time since some of the cards have entered the wild. And I think you have to choose the exact right moment, is when a card, when in its original standard format, had a certain context. And then you take that card and you say, okay, now in this standard format, it's the same card, but it feels totally different, it plays totally differently. How do you balance designing for new players and for more experienced players? Ideally, we balance it very well.
It's great to have decks where you're, oh, what's my biggest creature that I have in my hand? What's the most powerful looking thing that I have in my hand? What's the best idea for, or what is the best thing for me to do here? But at the same time, it's really important to have those decks as well. I think that something we've been trying to do recently is make Rogue and Priest sort of the decks that are more reactive. Just in general, reactive decks are slightly harder to play.
Hello guys, can you share how big Team 5 is now? Can you describe your usual workday? So Team 5 is over 70 people. I think we will probably grow significantly larger than that over the course of the next couple of years. So my usual workday is I come into work. Sometimes I start with a meeting about kind of just what's the global community looking like, what's going on, what things are we missing, what do we need to talk about that's kind of a pressing issue. Then we do a team stand-up, the whole team. We talk about, okay, what's going on with the next patch, and the patch after that, and the patch after that, and the patch after that. What do we do last week? How do we do against our goals last week? What are our goals for this week, and how are we going to approach that? My day is more meeting-focused than a lot of people.
My day is usually lots of playtesting, lots of coordinating with teams like engineering and art, and people working on the set that's coming next, and trying to be involved in a lot of different things and giving feedback wherever we can. For me particularly, I work mostly on cards.
Did you have any specific decks or purposes in mind when designing cards like Weasel Tunneler, or is it more like, let's see what the community can do with this?
I think that it probably shouldn't be the most popular or most powerful deck, but we just have a lot of cards that just are fun for people to figure out different things to do with and just have a good time.
What do you guys consider a healthy meta, and how do you measure it, and what warning signs would alert you if it wasn't healthy?
We look at a ton of different metrics. A lot of it is feel, play. Everyone plays a ton of Hearthstone. Like, we're playing hundreds and hundreds of games. So a lot of times we're looking at population at different ranks.
What card from Mean Streets has been the most surprising from internal testing to how it is being utilized now?
I guess one of the most surprising thing is how well some things worked out. I guess the population of the pirate decks was not, I would say, unexpected, but how well that really worked out in Shaman, Warrior, and Rogue. Versus, like, we knew it was a very strong Warrior deck, but mixing all the Jade things in with Pirates, I think was slightly stronger than we anticipated.
Are you satisfied with the current state of Wild? I think one of the things that is going to be best for Wild is the next standard rotation. And I think that'll increase the demand for more Wild type stuff. I was hoping to see a little bit more Wild stuff, but there hasn't been a lot of that kind of activity. So maybe that's something that we need to do more of to kind of spark some of that. I do think, though, that as the demand for cool Wild stuff goes up, as the Wild gets more different, that will hopefully encourage some of that stuff. Are you concerned by some wording inconsistency? Do you plan to rewrite old cards? The short answer is yes and yes.
So I think that we're dedicating a lot of time to making sure a lot of these text boxes look the way they should, and also that they're consistent with past and present things in the set.
When we can do it and it doesn't have other drawbacks, that's really important. We should do it. But sometimes there are other drawbacks. There are other things that we think, there's some, if we made it exactly the same, it reads crappily. Can you talk about your design goals for the Paladin class? Paladin identity seems unclear, and I would love to know Blizzard's thoughts on what it should do and where it goes from here.
Paladin has two different things that we sort of go for. They're very good at healing. We've had a lot of different Paladin decks that either go very long game and use stuff like Equality and Consecrate and heal and sort of survive until they can play some of these giant minions like Tyrion and Ragnaros Lightlord. Or we have another version of Paladin decks that's I summon all of my Silver Hand recruits, and then I go to battle with these tiny guys and buffs. So I think that when Reno rotates out specifically, Paladin will be one of the classes that's going to be the best at healing again.
All right, I'm being told that we're running right up against time, so I wanted to kind of close things out by talking a little bit about, let us know what you thought about this whole thing. Let us know if there's any specific answers that we gave that you think are just the wrong things for us to be doing. So please let us know how you felt. Let us know in general senses of making threads on our forums, on Reddit, or you can let us know personally. Our Twitter handles are right there, how you felt about all of this. So, and that will wrap it up for our first ever Hearthstone live Q&A. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Okay.
Bye.